us now. So, well, Hannah, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you, Rob?
Good. It's actually really nice to meet you. So, so I'm just going to tell this to my listeners here, the people that tune into this. Like, normally, what my podcast is, what I started doing it for was just to reach out to my old friends. That's what I was doing, and then learning about them. And if they had some interesting stories, learn about the stories and sharing them. That's all it was about. So, you are the very first person I've talking to that I've actually never met before.
That's exciting. I
It
feel
is
very
exciting.
special.
Well, you're special. You're the daughter, though, of a friend of mine. So we're not. It's not like I didn't hear of you before. We're never. I knew of your existence and stuff like that. And your mom's a nice woman. And the last few years we met for coffee a few times. And what she talks about? She talks about her kids. That's what she does. So that's her job, right, as a mom. So I've heard of you, and she thinks pretty highly of you. And so that's
Glad to
pretty
hear
cool.
it. That would be bad if I found out she was saying bad things behind my back.
She's pretty cool. She's pretty cool. Well, she's a mom too, so she's kind of dorky as well. So, hi, Michelle. Anyways, so that's pretty cool. But why I wanted to talk to you though is because you started a new initiative here in Saskatoon. You're from Saskatoon, and you started up an affiliate, I believe it's called, for the
Yes,
Dolly Parton's Imagination Library. Is that what it's
I
called?
did. Yes, that
Oh
is what
my
it's
God.
called.
Okay, let's start with that. What is that? Tell me about it.
So, Dolly Parton's Imagination Library, it was something that she created, I believe, in like 1995.
Okay.
So, she was concerned about, I think initially like high school dropout rates in her home community of Sevier County in Tennessee. We love Dolly Parton.
Yeah.
And so she was concerned about that, and she started this initiative where she like promised, she got kids to buddy up basically in grade 9, and if they both graduated she'd just give them $500, and it was very effective actually in combating the dropout rates. And then she was thinking, like, I want to do something bigger, I think, and like have an
Okay.
earlier impact, because it is really important to have, like, it's hard if you don't have a strong foundation and you keep falling further behind.
Yeah.
So she was inspired by her dad, who actually, she said he was the smartest man that she ever knew, but
Hmm.
he never actually learned how to read because she grew up on in the mountains in
Yeah.
Tennessee in like a very large poor family. So together with like her, so she wanted to do something with reading, and she also wanted to make an impact on education in her own county. And so she got a lot of research going, looking at a bunch of things to try to find out what would actually be most effective. And then
Okay.
she came up with a program called the Imagination Library. And so it started just in her own county. And so basically, any child under the age of 5 can register in it. And then every month in the mail, they get a book, and it's addressed to them, and it's just like gifted to them. And so they get one every month until they turn 5. And I
Okay.
don't know how it initially started, but now there's a whole committee going to pick out like the most impactful books. And so it's really to get children an early start at reading and
Yeah.
prepare them for school. Sorry, that was a whole thing.
No, that's what I want to know. That's really cool because I did not know that. But okay, so I heard about it, and it's about early childhood education and reading specifically. So it's a book a month if you
Yeah.
register before they hit the age of 5, right?
Yeah. And so they get, so there's like age appropriate books that are chosen by a committee, but
Hmm.
I think the first book that they're sent is always The Little Engine That Could,
Oh yeah.
because, and Dolly Parton says she's the little engine that did. So that's very cute. And then there's a book that they're sent
Yeah.
the last month before they turn 5 that's about going off to kindergarten. So that's very cute too, I think.
Wow. Oh, I bet you those kids love that kind of stuff. When
It's
you were a
all,
kid growing up, I know like your mom, or both your parents are pretty bright people, from what I can tell. And did they talk to you about education, like encourage reading growing up? Is that part
they
of?
definitely encouraged reading. I don't know if it would have, I don't know what they were thinking behind it, if they were really like, oh, this is so important, like we're really concerned about the future of education, or if they genuinely just loved reading. So I read a lot as a child. I remember in grade 1, I remember like standing outside at recess reading a book. Like
Yeah. Yeah. That's pretty cool. You know, I'll tell you a secret too. I used to read a lot, and I read every book in my house. And
it's impressive.
I used to read the encyclopedias every day. So my family knows that. So I used to
Seriously.
sit. I literally sat and ate my Cheerios and ate read the encyclopedias, and they haven't let me forget that ever since. So they make fun of me all the time. But for me, I was a voracious reader, and it sounds like you kind of were too. For our kids, my wife and I actually made a conscious decision, like right at the very beginning, like we read to those kids and then get them reading. And now both of them have this real love for reading. It's amazing. Actually, my one poor kid, he forgot a book at school. And, broke his heart. He was just crying because he wanted to finish that book that he had, right? So he was just that's how much they really enjoy it. So I understand the importance of reading as a young, and maybe it's because maybe you should encourage them to kind of get them going on the path. You know, one thing I found, and maybe Hannah, maybe I don't know if you did this, but for me, I found like a lot of the larger books kind of intimidating. Actually, I read a lot, but I didn't like taking a lot of bigger books.
I don't like the ones with small print either. Like I like I like them when they're, because sometimes I think the content of a book, like you can understand it and it's not that hard to read, but when they print it that small, I can't deal with that. So I feel the same. Some of them are just like this.
Yeah. Well, it's fine.
Much.
Yeah, no, exactly. Right. People have different ways of approaching these kind of books too. And I still get kind of intimidated by large books. You know, even I realize I can get through this if I try to get through this. But with my one kid, actually, he's not intimidated. He'll carry around a big book and he'll read it. I'm like,
impressive. I think I like to. There's a sense of accomplishment when you finish a book, like a big book. That you don't get that sense of accomplishment for a while. But it's good to hear that your kids are not as daunted as we are.
Well, yeah. Well, again, I think stuff like being conscious about it at a young age, or just being an approach to it and showing that you can do this at a young age is such a great thing. So back to Dolly though. Well, I got a question for you. Did you know when did you first hear of Dolly Parton? How long have you known who Dolly Parton is? Because you're pretty young.
I'm 18.
You're 18? Okay.
Yes. I kind of had to think about that one too. Don't worry.
So how long have you known Dolly Parton, who she was?
Okay, I don't know. I don't know how long I've known who she was, but I'm pretty sure she was on Hannah Montana. I used to watch Hannah Montana all the time because she is Miley Cyrus's godmother, and so she made like guest appearances on the show. So that's probably where I first knew her. But I recently became like very interested in Dolly Parton's life. I don't remember exactly why. Not sure. I watched 9 to 5 at the end of the summer, and I was like, oh my god, this is brilliant. And then,
she's great. Yeah,
she is. And then we were watching, I got my mom to record the Dolly Parton Christmas special, and then I wanted a perm when I was home for Christmas. And so I was sitting in the family room with like my mom rolling my hair in curlers, and we were watching the Dolly Parton Christmas special. And that is when I first heard about the Imagination Library.
Okay. Wow. Holy cow. So just relatively recently you heard about it, hey?
Yeah. And then I bought the People Special Edition for her 75th birthday.
Okay.
Read the whole thing. And I was just like, Dolly Parton, you're such an icon. Like, I want to make you proud. And then I remembered the Imagination Library. Just started Googling it. And I found out it was not that difficult to bring it to a new city. So I can tell you a bit about how like the whole thing works and how you would actually bring it somewhere else.
That's my next question. So absolutely. So Hannah, how did you get a Imagination Library in one city? How did you do it?
We'll start with the overall. We got to explain the structure of this first. So it started in Dolly Parton's own county, and then like it spread to surrounding counties, and then to all of Tennessee, and then throughout the states, and then I believe 2006 I think it was, it spread to Canada. And so it's offered in the UK, Australia, Ireland, I think, and the States, and here. So basically, Dolly Parton herself pays for all like the like administrative costs. So she's responsible for, like, there's a regional coordinator for Canada. So all of the overhead costs and all the organization and everything is paid for by Dolly Parton. So they have the committee that picks out the books, and they deal with like all the contracts and
Wow.
ordering these books in bulk and shipping. So all of that, like all the infrastructure you need, is already set up and paid for. So they make it very easy to have it somewhere else. So basically, then it's all like in Canada, but then they need someone in a community that they call like a local champion to actually bring it to that specific community, because obviously there's more than just like organizing the books. You actually have to get children registered and do community outreach, and then all the overhead is paid for, but we're responsible for finding funding for the actual books and the shipping. But because they order so many books and get special, I think, nonprofit postage rates, it only comes out to around $3.55 per book, including shipping, which is very impressive.
Yeah, for sure.
So I saw it. I was just on the Imagination Library website, and you can check for availability in your community. So I was just searching to see if it was in Saskatoon, and then it wasn't, and I was like, it should be.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So they actually have the steps on the website. They're like, this is what you want to do.
Wow.
If you're interested. So my first step was they tell you that you need a nonprofit partner. It turns out that's so that you get like the special shipping rates. It turns out in Canada, you don't actually need a nonprofit partner. That's like information for the States.
Okay.
But anyways, I didn't know that. I reached out to Read Saskatoon because, of course, they seem fitting for the project. And I said,
the mandates align between, for sure. Yeah.
And so I said, I'm really excited about like the idea of this, and like everything's set up, and I would be responsible for like we would get kids enrolled and we would find the funding and everything. We just need a partner to do this with.
Yeah.
And so they emailed back and they said, we've considered it before but didn't have the funding to do it. So I emailed back again and said, don't worry, I'm going to find funding. I don't know how I'm going to find funding, but I was confident I would.
Yeah.
And so they talked about it and they agreed to partner with me. So I'm working with somebody at Read Saskatoon named Cecilia right now.
Yeah.
I don't know where I was going with this.
Well, no, but you're talking about how do you get up and set up in Saskatoon. So you didn't need a partner, but honestly, it's probably a good idea because, we do have a really good group. Read Saskatoon is a phenomenal organization. They help mostly with like adult learning and financial literacy as well too.
They have a few. I went to an orientation for them a couple of weeks ago just to learn more about the program, and so they have a couple different kids programs. There's like one for very young, and then they have some family programs as well, and then like a tutoring for elementary school kids. So I think they pretty much cover all their bases.
Yeah. Well, they're great, and their whole mission is get people reading, right? Like, it's skills, and the earlier you get these kids going, the better off. So I think, but they probably needed a champion is what they needed, right, for this program.
Yeah, I don't think they were ready to dive into the whole thing because you do have to maintain the database. Like, you have to enter all the children and deal with books if they're returned, if there's the wrong address, and try to find funding and all that. So I think maybe not something they wanted to tackle on their own.
Yeah, they have limited resources like anywhere else. They're a nonprofit, right? So they do the best, but they can only do so much. So that's really cool. So your job there, after you got that, is to secure funding, and then you're administering the distribution of the books. So getting kids signed up, or families signed up, or kids signed up, and then you don't even have to ship the books. You just have to make sure to sign up to Dolly, and then
you just enter it in an online database. It's super easy, and they ship it all for you. But along with working with Read Saskatoon, like, they make it very easy to work with someone with the Dollywood Foundation itself. So our regional director for Canada is named Jan. She is so sweet, and she is very approachable. So
Yeah.
like very helpful when we were first getting started. I haven't talked to her in a while because I don't think I've needed anything, but she was like willing to meet a lot and help walk us through all the steps of the online database and how to get things started.
Yeah.
So very easy to work with, and got it up and running very quickly. So
Yeah, well, if you're thinking about it around Christmas time, it's middle of March right now. Like, how my goodness.
I think I started looking at the actual, like I first heard about it around Christmas, and then I think it was like later in January
Yeah.
that I was reading my People magazine and thinking about Dolly Parton. And so I said,
Yeah.
you know, might as well. And then so I told Reed that I would find funding, right?
Yeah.
Don't know how great of a job I've done of that so far, but I got an email from Cecilia one day, and she's like, do you have time to talk? I have some great news.
Mm-hmm.
And she told me that Reed Saskatoon was going to provide $5,000 initial funding to do targeted outreach through them. So they're like lower income groups that they really think that the program will make a big impact for.
Yeah, they know for sure.
Yeah. So that allowed us to launch right away. We just had to get like a profile set up online. It was so easy to do, actually. Like, it's amazing how fast it all happened and how like few problems there were.
Yeah. Well, okay, but you're working for someone that's, because you're working for this organization that's run by Dolly Parton, and just everything I know about her is like she just is a very pragmatic person, thoughtful, takes on tough challenges. She's probably seen a lot of setbacks in her ways, but then found ways around them, and so she and the organization probably understand, like, look, this could be very daunting for somebody who wants to take it up. Let's make it easy as possible for that person to take it up. That's what it sounds like. Sounds like you got some pretty good people there that are really thoughtful about that, and it really reflects on her as sort of the leader of that group.
It's definitely run very well, and although there is it's such a broad program, it's all over, so obviously there's certain guidelines you follow, and the program as it's administered is it's the same everywhere. Children get a book in the mail every month, but they really allow you to tailor it to your community, so you can do whatever kind of outreach you want to do. You can start with only certain postal codes in the city if you don't want it to be big.
Right. Yeah.
You can do whatever fundraising you want, any kind of events. There's a big group in, I think, Brampton that does a big storybook breakfast every year and raises thousands of dollars. So that's their big fundraiser. So I think that that's really cool that you can involve the community in more ways than just the program, but you can have these fun events that all tie back into it.
Yeah. Well, I'm with the Kinsman Club, so our thing is raising funds. That's what we do. We're huge on just raising funds. We know how difficult it can be to raise funds, but we also know how much fun you can have raising funds too. That's another thing too. And if you just sort of, it's as much as the recipient, where you're giving the money to is important as how you market it as well too. If it's a good cause, people do like to support that kind of thing, and if you can show the contributors or donors, that their money is going towards this, there's very little overhead cost and everything's going towards this, and they're very upfront about what that is, people will donate. It's pretty cool. Have you ever been a volunteer like this before in terms of?
Not, no.
Wow, holy cow. That's crazy. Yeah.
I just decide I'm going to do things, and Jan, the regional director, posted on Facebook the other day, and so there have been a group started in Prince Albert as well just recently. I think they've been planning it for a bit longer though, and then there's some other groups starting again in Saskatchewan, and she said that ours got up and running in record time, and I think it was because I didn't consider any things. I just said, you know what, I'm gonna do it.
Yeah.
So it started.
Well, that's most initiatives too, even not volunteering, but also as an entrepreneur. I've talked to a few friends of mine in this past year who are entrepreneurs, and all they say is well, just go do it. You started, and then I think me specifically, but most of us have really hesitant about taking on these kind of challenges because we tend to overanalyze these things. But once you start doing them, most of the things that you're worried about kind of go away. And then there are things that do pop up, but then you just have a few things rather than you're trying to solve all the problems at once. And so for your sake here, I think that's a smart idea. You go with a good solid organization. There's lots of room to grow with that one. You can get some support. It makes a lot more sense. It appeals to a large, broad sector of society, and you just go for it. And you're gonna have problems, and that's okay.
It's really nice though that you can start. Like, there's no minimum number of kids that you have to have registered before they'll start mailing books. Like, you get it set up online with them, and then you're like a committed affiliate with the like with the Imagination Library, and then you send an email when you want to go operational, and then whatever kids are in your database there's like a monthly book processing. Whatever kids are entered, then they get a book the next month. So we had like 5 kids registered the first month, and I'm like, woo, big win.
That is a big win, yeah. So you're trying to raise money. So how do you sell that? What kind of money are you trying to raise? Do you have a per kid cost, or
there is? So since each book comes out to around like $3.55, it is approximately $43 per year for one kid.
Okay.
So I think it's pretty affordable overall, and I think the Dollywood Foundation did a very good job with that too. Like, as you said, they get everything in place to allow you to have that success. And I think by paying for all their overhead, they really make it easier for individual communities to find the funding that they need, because all that money stays in the community and goes right towards the purchase of books. Right. So Read Saskatoon committed the original $5,000.
Yeah.
So how we're registering kids is we're going to register as many as we can pay for a year for, and then we have that year to find some more funding.
Yeah, for sure. And that'll be sort of an ongoing thing. You probably look for donations yearly, but you also may want to develop a fundraiser of some sort.
Yeah.
Are you looking for some partners as a champion at some point?
We're hoping for some long-term partners so that we can have a little bit less pressure on the yearly, like any fluctuations that may come year to year, so that we can ensure that this program has more longevity in our community.
Yeah, for sure. And there's, again, Read is a great group, but they can't do it all too. And there are people out in this community, we do know, that they have some money, they can spend some money, and they can help out, and they're looking for good causes to support.
I would appreciate any contacts. As I said, I'm completely new to this, and so it's very nice that I'm working with Read, because they do have contacts with some groups, and so we're working on trying to find a long-term funder in order to like supplement any fundraisers we have.
Yeah, Read's pretty good too, because I believe they give you taxes. You're allowed to ride on their tax exempt status. Because I actually gave them a call and asked them how that would work, and they said just write us a check, write it to them, and then put Dolly's Imagination Library, and they'll put it into the right account, and then that'll go through Canada Helps, and then I would get a donation if I did it that way, right? So, or a tax receipt.
Yeah, so they are dealing with. It is very good that we partnered with them for multiple reasons, but they're also able to issue tax receipts, which obviously we could not just do on our own. So Cecilia is managing our fund, and so she's responsible for paying the Imagination Library every month, and we're responsible for basically finding funds to put into the account.
Yeah.
But they have put us on the Read Saskatoon page. There's an option now to donate specifically to the Imagination Library, which is quite nice. And then
very nice, yeah.
There's also an option through the Imagination Library site to donate to a specific community.
Okay. That's pretty cool too. Are you just Saskatoon? Is the Saskatoon an area, or how do you delineate it? What's your
right now? It's just Saskatoon postal codes.
Okay.
Not totally sure what all of them are. I did look it up and enter them all in. I would love for it to be offered province-wide at some point. There's a lot of states that they do offer it statewide, and it is subsidized by the government. So there's somewhere half of the cost of books is paid for by the government, and then the community is responsible for raising the other half. So
Oh,
I would
okay.
say that's a dream of mine one day to have it all around Saskatchewan. And with the other communities starting up already, I think I'm optimistic about that one day.
No, I think it's a great. Again, it's a really good cause. I think you have to do the what they call the proof of concept first. So you have to like show that it can be successful here. Gets uptake, and you probably want to see the the numbers
Yeah.
how it goes up, and track that sort of thing, and see. And then I'll be really curious to see how they do that in say Prince Albert. Maybe Regina gets one, and
Yeah.
then are you able to connect with people that are starting up in other champions and or have you
Um,
just mostly been dealing with the regional director for Canada?
I've mostly been dealing with the regional director, but there is another college student in Edmonton looking to start up a program. So I've actually been texting her, just seeing
Yeah.
how things are going because neither of us have done anything similar to this before. We're just like hoping for the best. And
Yeah.
then I think I'm trying to get this started at the same time as I'm in school full time. So I wouldn't say I've been like I don't have a consistent amount of time to commit. I just do things when I think of it. So in the future, I would like to connect more with the other communities.
Yeah, you've done a lot so far, so maybe yeah, you don't have to. I'm not no
Yeah, I told
pressure on
my
that.
mom, I was like, you can think of fundraisers for the summer, but don't tell me until like May. I don't want to think about it.
Yeah, well, a lot of these fundraisers take a year or two or more. Maybe it's just who knows how you're going to do this. Maybe you want to do a in person. That's the other part. The in person fundraisers is still kind of a tricky business right now. A lot of these places aren't
Yeah.
having them again. So
It is nice though that we have that time to prepare for next year. Like I don't think
yeah,
we'll have a big event until next year, but we do have some initial funding to get us started. And then currently we have a fundraiser going on that my mom came up with because, of course, I wasn't just going to start this. I had to drag my mom into it.
yeah, for sure.
And so we called it book bundles, possibly due to lack of creativity. But we found some books through Scholastic online. So you can order, you can get a good deal on books through them.
Yeah.
And so we got two books. We got The Kissing Hand and The Cool Bean. So The Kissing Hand, it's about raccoons, and I do love raccoons.
Oh
And
yeah.
I get to see raccoons now that I live in Toronto,
Yeah.
which is nice. Anyway, so that's for slightly younger kids. I think maybe like 4 to 6, and then The Cool Bean is like 5 to 8 age range maybe. So what we did was, well, like I guess I didn't do any of this. What my mom did is
Yeah.
put together craft kits like to go with the books. And
Okay.
then we have a friend named Leanne Dale. She has a business called Mama Dale Sweet Treats, and she makes these super cute sugar cookies. And so she offered to make
Oh.
us themed cookies to go with our kits.
Ah.
So we're currently trying to sell the kits on Facebook. So they are $20 each, and all the money raised goes directly towards our fund to registering children.
So you make a bit of a profit on those, and that money goes back
Yeah,
to the thing. Hey, so basically you buy these book bundles. That's a couple little books with some
it's each one is one book.
one
We
book.
did them
Okay.
separately so that you
Okay.
could choose the age range.
Oh, of course, yeah. And then you got a little bit of crafting stuff inside of it. You said, and
Yeah, there's a little craft kit and then some
then a
cookies.
cookie. That's not a bad deal. And then all the
It's
money
not,
goes towards your Dolly's library. So that's pretty cool.
yeah,
So
so that's
what I'll
going
do,
on.
I'll share the link.
I would
So
appreciate that. Thank you.
people have a chance to do that for sure.
So
And
that's
I'll
going on for another week, and then
okay.
we'll plan something for the summer. I don't know what. I have no fundraising experience.
Yeah.
So,
So I'll tell you what I'm doing, and that's what I'm doing here. So I'm with the Kinsman Club. We started a new program. We're trying to find different ways to raise money. We're always trying to learn how to fundraise too. We have a couple of just massive fundraisers, but then we have some smaller ones too. And we wanted to kind of get our chops, get our fundraising chops going. So now what happens is if every member gets a chance to raise for 1 month, their birthday month, raise as much money as they can from their friends or family or whoever. And by doing so, the Kinsman Club will match them up to $500. And the winner, like the guy that makes the most in that month, because I'm competing against other guys this month, it's my birthday month, Gets
Birthday month.
gets another $500. We can give to any group that's in Saskatchewan, basically. So any
Wow.
fundraising group. So I was looking for something to give to. I was like, "What? My birthday's in March. What am I going to give to? Who am I going to give to?" And I had a few good ideas, and they're all good people. Then it's all the Dolly's Imagination Library. It's like, oh, I know what I'm giving it to. So I did a little post, and I've already seen some donations. These monies that I'm posting that goes to our Kinsman Foundation, and then we get a receipt, or we receive the sum total of that at the end of the month, and then once we see that, we'll do an announcement within the club, and then we'll write a check of that up, and then up to $500 match, and if I win, be $1,000 total, God willing, and then that'll all go to your library. So we'll see
I
what happens
really
there.
appreciate you doing that.
Yeah, well, it's
Very
perfect.
excited.
It's perfect because it's just a brand new group here too, and I would hope that, and I'll even tell your mom this too, or tell you, I could tell you this too as well. Get this thing going, get it going, and in the next year, like starting September or maybe this time next year, come to the Kinsman Club of Saskatoon and you put a proposal in for funding, and you get your budgets. You tell us how well you did, how things are going, show the success that you've been doing. We want to see people actually getting good at this and putting the effort into it. If they do that, we can consider funding for you as well too. So
I appreciate you telling me
yeah,
that.
yeah, for sure.
We will.
That's and there's not just us. There's lots of really great community organizations. But for me, would have zero problem championing this in our club and trying to get the guys to vote uh, for you. So I think
Thank
what
you
you're doing
very
is
much.
so cool. And I wish I was doing this when I was 18. I was doing a lot worse stuff than this. So, but I'm making up for lost time right now by my own volunteer work.
You
But
sure are.
yeah. Well, that's pretty good. I'm not sure what else is going to say here. We talked about like importance of children's literature, and I think we kind of captured that part of it. So
I
people,
think Dolly, the Dollywood Foundation, so that's like the foundation responsible. There's more than just the Imagination Library, but that's her main thing.
oh,
I'm not totally sure what the other things are, but like there's the Dollywood Foundation overall, and the Imagination Library is part of it. Anyways, they've also done a lot of research into looking at the efficacy of the Imagination Library. So they've done studies looking at the impact of on children's tests. I don't remember exactly how they tested it, but
right, yeah,
reading skills right when they entered kindergarten. So that's right after the program ended. And then they also checked in grade 3, and they found a long-lasting effect. And I think in education, it is really important that we give kids a strong start, because once you fall behind, it can get things
right.
can just pile up.
Like when she
So
was like, she probably found that out when she's like, encouraging grade 9 kids to graduate. She probably found out you got to get them to grade 9 first. You got to get them to
yeah,
a path where they have success. I bet you that's where that came from, because they realized that early childhood education is so important, and just to get these ideas across for these kids and these sort of habits about, well, not just literacy, but also numerical literacy as well too,
yeah.
and understanding education. Get those kids going at a young age is so important. So, and it just the benefits are just they just grow like that. Just get
I
those
think
kids going.
there's also some, like, beyond just the educational impact, it's also really really exciting to see that it's an opportunity also for connection within a family, and for parents and their children to connect over something so important. And having books in the home, like even though a lot of us have access to a library, or maybe some of us can afford books, I think it's different when it's already there. She makes it so easy for them, and it's something that kids become very excited about and form connections over. So it's more than just preparing them for academics, but
That's
like
a
instilling that passion for reading in them.
that's such a good point. I don't think I've had any better memories than those my little guys sitting on my lap reading a book. Even when they got too big, so come here, guy, let's read the book. So like but having those bonds there, just kids love that. Kids
Me too.
need that, and families they benefit so much from having that connection with the kids. That's such a good point. All right. So, Hannah, so if the people want get some of your book bundles, where would they do that?
The information is on Facebook. There's a link to a Google form to fill out.
Okay.
And then we'll contact you for payment info just because we're not very high tech right now.
Yeah.
So we're just doing it as it comes. So it's available for another week. And then there is local pickup or $5 local delivery, of which all the proceeds also just go to the Imagination Library.
Okay, great stuff. So I'll put that link down there. It's a Facebook link. And then for my friends and family, if you guys want to donate to the Kinsman Foundation, I'll put a link to that as well here. The club will match up to $500. But I think people should buy the book bundles first. I think it's pretty cute, especially if you have little kids. So my friends of mine who have little kids, you get a cookie out of the deal. Hell,
we have
do it just to get a cookie.
You know, that's fair. I think the crafts are really cute too. I'll show you. I mean, nobody's listening to a podcast. That's the raccoon.
Oh my God.
The raccoon craft. My mom mailed me one when she was trying to figure it out. And then we have, for the cool beans, we have little Shrinky Dinks. Oh. I love Shrinky Dinks.
That is very funny. That's really cool. And again, that's a really good thing for little kids to have. So if you have little kids or grandkids, maybe, and you live around Saskatoon, definitely look up that link. Get your guys a craft kit. If you guys are not sure, when does this end? It ends on the 20th of March or something like that?
I think so. I think
around that time.
Friday. I think the pickup and delivery options are for Saturday and Sunday, I believe. But so I think we've sold 30 of the 50 that we have, but we're still looking for those last 20. And if we do sell all of those, we will be able to, all that money will go right into our fund, and we'll be able to register 20 more children into the Imagination Library.
Oh, that is so cool. So people, just maybe get those cookies first if you can. I'm saying just get the cookies. And the craft kit, and I suppose a book too. And then after that, if you guys want, go through me, and if not, after that, you could just go to Dolly Parton's Imagination Library in Saskatoon, or contact Read Saskatoon, and they'll give it a tax refundable donation, or whatever it's called. So
for the fundraiser, before we finish, we've also had a couple people ask, like people who don't have children or don't know children, ask if they could buy them to donate. So if anyone is interested in doing that, we will find a family who will very much enjoy the bundle.
You're going to be a hell of a fundraiser, kid, I tell you. You'll be just fine.
Thank you.
Yeah, so that's great. Well, I think that was it. So that was such a wonderful interview. So thank you so much, Hannah. That was great.
It's great chatting with you.
Wish you all the best with that, and I hope that this keeps going and getting bigger and bigger, like I think it will.
Me too. I'm optimistic. I have big goals. I was looking at there's a program through the SPSD Foundation called Early Learning Equal Start. So there's a few programs that they offer. So there's tutoring, and there's full day, I think it's full day kindergarten that they're trying to get started. So like early learning initiatives, but the thing is they seem to be missing that under 4 age group. So I think that looking at the cost of their other programs per student, this is, even if a child is enrolled for their whole life, that is $215, which is really not much compared to a lot of things. And if you look at the impact of it, and it can also, giving kids that early start will save money on programs in the future because they already have the skills they need. So I'm hopeful to one day get in touch with them and see if this could be offered even further citywide.
I think there's a lot of opportunities here. It is such a, I don't know, I think it's amazing. So well done, Dolly.
It's a great program.
Well done you, little Dolly.
Thank you. That's possibly the biggest compliment you could have given me. I was like, every day I'm like, I want to make Dolly Parton proud.
Oh, she'd love this. She'd absolutely love this for sure. All right, I'm gonna close off here, and